gonna be late for work.
Then we'll be late. You took a patient's life. You lied about it for weeks. You broke who knows how many laws and oaths to cover it up. But I can live with it. We can get through it together.
You have no idea what I've been living with. And what it means to hear you say that.
But we need to get away from Princeton Plainsboro. You can barely walk by the rooms where Dybala was treated. Why should we live with that hanging over our heads? If there was ever a time to turn the page.
Three-month-old with fever, incessant drooling, and chronic muscle weakness.
Or porn actor Hank Hardwick, born Henry Lefkowitz, totally clean workup, collapsed on the job with extreme photophobia.
Or an infant as limp as a ragdoll.
Yeah. Let's wait till Chase and Cameron get here. I have the feeling they'll have the good sense to side with me.
Doesn't matter who they side with, I'm still in charge. We're taking the limp three-month-old.
Oh, good. You paged the limpness specialist. This envelope is oddly medical license shaped.
Congratulations.
House is back in charge. We get to treat a porn star.
Congratulations.
Perfect timing for us.
We're leaving the team and the hospital, effective immediately.
It's kind of sudden. Unless you've been circulating your resumes for a while.
We're just starting to think about new jobs, where we want to live.
Moving too. Interesting.
Are you sure about this?
Yes.
We'll miss you.
We'll miss all of you, too. Let's start clearing out our things.
Run an STD panel on a tox screen, send a C-reactive protein to look for inflammation, and an ANA to screen for autoimmune. The rest of you take a history and do an LP to rule out viral encephalitis. Oh, it's just you. Here's hoping you're good at multitasking.
Jew with megalophallus, photophobia, and muscle spasm. You tell me which is the most unusual. 4 candidates, 3 slots on the team. Need to know if you've still got your diagnostic chops.
I leave this office by 6 every day. I have my weekends again. I recognize my wife again.
Yeah, I agree. It does sound pretty dull. No wonder you want to work for me. Tox screen was clean. We ruled out viral encephalitis. The only obstacle to you coming back is your wife, which has never been that much of an obstacle to you.
Maybe you're right. The only link between eye and muscle is the brain. Tumor, seizure.
Taub seems to think the link has to be the brain, but eye and muscle are governed by different parts of the patient's second favorite organ, which means it's...
Thailand was wonderful. Thanks for asking.
Of course, yes. It has to be multifocal.
I have an interview with the community health clinic in 2 hours.
Backup plan's fine. Taub's swinging for the fences. I suggest you don't divide your attention.
Good point. I won't divide my attention then.
Taub thinks it's a brain issue. 13 thinks it's multifocal.
And neither of them wants to work here.
Don't take their word for it. Taub's problem is his wife. 13's problem is you. Chase and Cameron's problem is the dead African dictator. None of them has a problem with the work.
Cerebral vasculitis would explain both the eye and arm findings.
Steroids to treat. Brain angiogram to confirm. EMG and nerve biopsy while you're at it. I'll be at lunch.
I'd hire all 4. But a 5-person team seems unwieldy. Who'd you turn down? I'll have whatever he's buying.
2 cheeseburgers and 2 large fries. There are 1,000 people in the world who want to be on your staff, but you're going after the 4 who don't.
They don't, because their lives are irrelevantly and annoyingly complicated, which makes them confused, which makes them make poor decisions.
And your life is simple? You went all the way up to the medical conference to cozy up to Cuddy. Instead, she's dating one of two people in the world you think of as a friend. There's no way that's not devastating.
So I had an attraction of sorts.
Yeah, the sort in which your imaginary tryst landed you in a mental hospital.
And I got help. She got Lucas, who bought me a ginger ale. It's all fine. Which won't be true of my department unless I can figure out which doctor I'm not hiring.
I suppose throwing yourself into your work isn't the worst thing you could do.
What is the worst thing I could do?
House thinks it's cerebral vasculitis. If you could just do the brain angio while I finish up the blood work.
We're out the door.
He's got me running every test and treatment by myself.
Which is why you should be out the door, too. This is completely unreasonable, even for House.
You owe me this.
Thank you.
You really believe this is cerebral vasculitis?
Could be.
House wants to thread a catheter through his brain, which could cause a vasospasm, give steroids, which could spread infection all over the place, because it could be.
Sounds like House.
It could also be a severe vitamin D deficiency. He has a restrictive diet, works long hours indoors, became hypocalcemic, got tetany and photophobia.
You saying I shouldn't do the angio?
House ordered it, Foreman wants it. Of course we should do it. I'm just saying we're right to leave.
You sure? Because right now I basically do anything you ask me.
I'm not interested in guilting you. We're moving on.
Right after I take the patient to the phototherapy suite, I'll ask him an ultraviolet light and IV vitamins for his severe vitamin D deficiency.
Patient's blood won't clot. Back to square one.
You're back in my office. So much for playing hard to get.
We're just here to help Foreman.
Is that?
He's not without talent.
UV rays made the patient's capillaries more fragile, hastening the onset of DIC. Sounds like sepsis.
It isn't. No sign of shock, no drop in blood pressure.
Can we send that off?
Right, because Cameron thinks pornography is evil.
I don't care what he does. I don't care what you watch. I just think it's annoying that he pretends it's some beautiful life we should all be aspiring to.
The shift points to bacteremia.
No fever. Plus, it wouldn't explain the spasmodic muscle contractions.
The ball and chain smacked you down.
But widespread petechial rash, nervous system involvement. It's some kind of blood infection. Meningococcemia.
Start the patient on heparin for the DIC, broad-spectrum antibiotics for the meningococcemia. Dr. Cameron. Chase is relaxed, at ease, in lockstep with you again. I guess he finally told you that he iced Idi Amin Jr. Does that mean he can break the other 9 commandments too? Taking the Lord's name in vain, sure, but coveting thy neighbor's wife? Is she hot?
I've forgiven him.
Not for murder, not you. Doesn't matter how evil Dybala was. By every conscience-hugging, Mother Teresa-loving bone in your body, you should be leaving him, not leaving with him.
I thought your position was our leaving is a ruse.
We're not talking about my position, we're talking about yours, which doesn't add up.
Here's what doesn't add up. If you were serious about staffing your team, you would know exactly which 3 fellows you wanted. You plowed ahead with this case, even though you hadn't hired new fellows because you knew Foreman would ask Chase and me to help, giving you more time to blow up our marriage.
I don't want that. But we'd be foolish not to plan ahead. A, my firing Chase was the only reason you left 2 years ago. B, when the full horror of his homicide hits you, your marriage will blow up. And Z, the only obstacle to you working here will be gone. Or maybe I skipped a couple of letters.